Hi everybody, this is Laurie from Acclaim Crafts, and today I'd like to welcome you to our introductory video on the Bracelet Beaders Dashboard. Why did we make another bracelet board? Well, our main reason was because of accuracy. This is a problem that most of us who make bracelets have, is our bracelets are either too big or they're too small. And we have heard this from so many people, and I've experienced it myself, and it's a very, very frustrating problem. But we think we have solved the problem with a math-based approach. And don't freak out. We've done the math for you. We have included with every one of these boards that you buy, we have the Virtual Bracelet Mandrel. It comes with your board. And it takes the size of the beads that you're using into consideration. It looks at the finished length of your bracelet that you're targeting, and it tells you which one of the rings on the board that you'll use to be able to accomplish that. You still have to use your head a little bit, take into account the size of your clasp, and if you've any other variables like that. But for the most part, you really don't have to worry about it anymore. You'll get accustomed to using the Virtual Bracelet Mandrel and grabbing yourself a little set of cheap calipers to measure your beads if you're not accustomed to doing that. But even if you don't have those things, I think you'll still be able to use the Virtual Bracelet Mandrel. Most of the beads that we buy already have the size of the beads on there, or you can gauge them from other bead bags that you may have in place already. It's a truly American-made product. I'm a beader, and John has been around me long enough to understand the concept of it, and so I can say we're beaters, and we understand where you're coming from here. So this one's for you, for all of my fellow beaters out there that have struggled to get your bracelets the correct size. I think you're going to really love the dashboard. It's a pretty cool thing. Without further ado, we'll move over to the overhead camera, and I'll show you a little bit about how I use my dashboard, and maybe that'll help you with yours. So see you over there in just a second. All right, we're over here at the design table, and you're looking at the Bracelet Beaders Dashboard, stock number 40,011 by Acclaim Crafts. So let's go over a few of these details that you see here. What you're looking at are 10 rings, sized from size 5 through 14, and you've got 10 pockets for your beads. And if you're wondering what these things are on either side, let me just pick this up real quickly. These are the Beaders pocket boards. These are stock number 40,012, and we really didn't have anything that was the right size and orientation for this for the pocket boards. So John designed these to go along with them, and they're just a wonderful way to have all of the beads out that you want. They're a great way to store your beads. If you can store by color, by project, whatever works for you. I'm a visual beader, so I like a lot of colors and sizes and stuff out when I'm working, and that works the best for me. So anyway, if you order those, if you want a pair of these guys at the same time that you order the Bracelet Beaders Dashboard, I can pack it all in the same box, and you'll get a refund on your shipping. Okay. Aside from that, let's get into the board itself. So anyway, we're measuring from 5 up to 14, like I mentioned, and you'll notice that the font at the topmost number is a little bit larger. That is the name of the circle, the dimension of the circle, and the size of the circle. Okay, so this is an important consideration in here. So if you laid a 12-inch string down in the bottom of the 12-inch circle, it would actually fit. It would be 12 inches. But the second you add a bead to that, it doesn't fit anymore. So, golly, that's aggravating. How do you overcome that? When you think about the beads, they exist in three-dimensional space. You take a large bead like this 23.5 millimeter size bead, and you think about the string that runs through the center of it. You've got a huge amount of space that's going to be encroaching on the inside of your bracelet. when you use large beads like this. But this is true. It doesn't matter how small or large the bead is. So the big impetus in designing the Bracelet Beaders Dashboard was to increase the accuracy. Okay, let's look at the Virtual Bracelet Mandrel. And this is it here. And what you do is you have your target wrist size, and that's your circumference of your wrist in inches, and that is the topmost column. And then you go over to the side column, and it says bead size in millimeters. And what you want to do is you take the beads that you're going to be, the largest diameter of bead that you're going to be using for the bulk of your beads. And I have a couple of highlights that I've drawn on here because I'm going to be, my target length is going to be 6 inches for a 6-inch wrist. I'm going to be using 8mm beads, and all you do is you just line up the columns on here. You find your number column, which is right here on the end, and I come down, I see that it's number 7 ring, and the length that I do not exceed is 7 inches. So that worked out really well. So I've got a 6-inch wrist, 8mm beads, the number 7 ring, and I don't exceed 7 inches when I'm beading. So pretty awesome. Okay, so when you start beading, we'll be beading right here in the number 7 ring. You'll notice that the font is slightly larger for the 7. And so think of this as a clock face, and you're going to start beading at noon at the top of the chart here. And I put my bead, I don't split the bead with the arrow. I come just to the right of it. So, because I want the full measure of that bead to be inside the circle. So, a couple more. And I'm just going to bead my way around here. Just going to lay these in real quick. All right, now there we are. We've got our 6-inch bracelet in our number 7 ring. And if I was working with stretch cord, I could go ahead and just get my stretch cord, cut it, to length, and then give it a couple of pulls so that it activates the stretch a bit. And then just go ahead and string it and then hide my knot inside one of the beads if the holes were large enough. If you're using a clasp like a toggle clasp, those are, just like the beads, they take up some physical space. So you need to take into consideration the size of your clasp and think about how it's going to fit and, allow for that within the width of your bracelet. So to use like my little flower one there, I'd probably end up taking 2 beads away. You're going to have a crimp bead, and maybe if you're using larger beads, you might have to, if you're using a toggle, you might have to use some smaller beads still than these to be able to pass it up through the ring of the toggle. Each one of them is a little bit different, and you'll just have to decide how that's going to work best for you. If I was using a toggle like this is a little bit larger, so I might have to remove a 3rd bead for that. But whatever whatever works, you've got your 6-inch bracelet and your 7-inch ring with all your beads laid out, and you don't have to do any thinking. If this is a production order that you're doing, you've got a whole bunch of bracelets that you're making, like for a wedding or for a cheer squad or something like that, and you have to make a whole bunch of them, you can duplicate this. Make your design one time in whatever ring you need to be, according to your mandrel, to your do not exceed size, and you can duplicate it in each one. So I duplicated my example in the number 8 ring. So this is still my same 6-inch bracelet with my 8mm beads, and I bead up to my do not exceed size of 7 inches. I can do it again here in the number 9 ring. Start there just to the right of the arrow, bead clockwise to my do not exceed size of 7, and so on and so forth. I can do this in the 10, in the 12, in the 11, the 13, and in the 14. When I change my bead size, then your ring size will change too. It's going to put you into the ballpark of having your bracelets fit the way that they should have fit all along. You still have to do some thinking, you know, like with your clasp, and if you're using different sizes of beads in your bracelet, and kind of play with that and get a feel for it. But this is going to put you a lot closer to having your bracelets fitting properly. Let me show you why making a 6-inch bracelet in a 6-inch ring is not going to work. Remember, if you lay that string in the bottom of that 6-inch ring, it's going to be 6 inches. But the minute you add a bead to that, that bead is going to encroach on the inside dimension where the wrist goes, and it's no longer 6 inches. It's smaller. So the larger the beads that you add to that, there's a 10 millimeter bead. So you've got 2.5 millimeters of this bead that are going to be protruding into the center of this bracelet. So that's adding a substantial amount. Now, if I exaggerate the example and I do huge beads, these are 23.5 millimeters, and you can see very graphically what happens and why your bracelets haven't been fitting in your standard type circles boards, where they don't take the math into account and the physical dimension of the beads that you're using. This makes such a difference, and this method of using the physical size of the beads is such an innovation. There's no other boards out there that have taken this math-based approach. It makes such a difference with your bead designing. Oh, by the way, too, this also works really great with memory wire. You do it the same way you do production. You design it for your target wrist size with the, according to the mandrel, and your do not exceed size for your first ring. And then you just duplicate it in the subsequent rings for the number of wraps that you're going to do for it. And then once you're done, you put a loop in your wire, and then just string your beads, starting, with your first bead on your lowest numbered ring, and just, it's so much easier. Please don't worry when you see this chart. It's very easy to use. You just follow the lines across. You find your target. They're on every one of the pages. So it goes up in size as you go along through the mandrel. You will end up using the larger rings more than you think. You may think, oh gosh, I'll never use anything like that. Yeah, you will. You'll be really surprised. You start getting into the larger bead sizes, and yeah, you're going to be surprised at how often you use these. So anyway, I will see you back at the computer in just a second. Okay, and there you have it. There's the Bracelet Beaders Dashboard. We've gone over a little bit about how you use the board. Just remember to think of each one of those circles as a clock face, and the number at the top at the noon position is where you begin. You check your Virtual Bracelet Mandrel to where you're stopping, taking into consideration what type of stringing material that you're going to be using, how big your beads are, and it's the bulk of your beads that will determine the stopping point on there, and of course your target size too. I think you're going to absolutely love this board. I know I love mine. My bracelets are fitting so much better now that I've got this new board to work on. I absolutely love it. Please do come and check us out. We're online, and if you have any comments or questions or anything, leave those below and I will answer those as quickly as I can. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to be notified of other videos, you can subscribe. And if you've enjoyed this, please hit the little bell and let us know. That does help us. And I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the next video. Thank you guys. Bye.